CBS Television presents a special report on Sputnik 1, the Soviet space satellite.
Pew, pew, pew. Rah, rah. Die. 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 Oh. Hello. Welcome to the news. I'm Hot Donna. In your news today, the United States and Western Europe signed the North Atlantic Treaty Organization as a military alliance between them to protect themselves from the Soviets and their Eastern allies. In return, the Soviets and their Eastern allies signed the Warsaw Pact. The U.S. has recently issued the Marshall Plan, which plans on reconstructing Western Europe due to the deconstruction of World War II. You know, like more than $20 billion has been dispersed in economic aid towards these countries. And then Harry Truman goes around and he issues the Truman Doctrine to send military aid to Greece and Turkey so that they can resist, you know, the Soviets and their communism crap. Whatever. Let's get on to something interesting. Today, well not today, recently, Winston Churchill called the divide between democracy and communism in Europe an Iron Curtain. Now kids, it wasn't a literal Iron Curtain. It was just kind of like, you know, metaphorical. You know how I mean. Now here is an explanation in simplest terms of containment. Here is communism, i.e. China and Russia. We keep communism where it is. We do not go and we do not try and change it, but we do not let it move anywhere else. Containment. At the beginning of the Cold War, the United States instituted a policy of brinksmanship, meaning they would go to the brink or the edge of war. This was according to President Eisenhower's Secretary of State, Dulles. We needed a reliable source of nuclear weapons and airplanes. So the U.S. started to stock up on said nuclear weapons and airplanes, and in turn, USSR did the same, leading to the great arms race of the Cold War. However, by the end of the Cold War, President Nixon instituted a policy of detente, so as to lessen the tensions created by the Cold War between the U.S. and USSR. But when Reagan entered the picture, he made some choice actions which increased the tensions between the U.S. and USSR again. No wonder there was an entire subculture that hated him. In 1955, the Bandung Conference was held with leaders from Asian, African, and Latin American Third World countries which had recently gained their independence. Instead of choosing to be on the U.S. or USSR side, these countries decided to stay neutral or non-aligned. For more news, the U.S. has entered many failed wars in Asia, and their justification was doing so was this guy's domino theory, saying that one communist Asian nation would lead to the fall of the rest of its neighbors. Here to talk about it.
I am President Eisenhower. Now, the domino theory, as what Hot Donna just said, was, in fact, very simple. As I use the dominoes that are on my body right now, I will explain it in very simple terms. We're going to use 3 of them. As I set them up right now, they all represent different countries that are weak-minded and simple to subdue to the powers of suggestion. Okay? Now, 1 falls to the power of communism. Now, all of neighboring countries here will also fall due to the likeliness that if they see another neighboring country falls, the rest will. That was so cool!
In other news, on March 23, 1983, President Reagan initiated the Strategic Defense Initiative, also known as the Star Wars Project. This was meant to create anti-ballistic systems to defend ourselves against nuclear attacks from threatening countries. Here now, to talk about the specifics of these anti-ballistic systems, is Herbert Hofnacker.
Hello, Hot Donna. I'm Herbert Hofnacker. Knocker, here to talk to you, about the Star Wars project.
Hey, Herbert.
Okay. The Star Wars project by Ronald Reagan was basically trillions of dollars spent into a system where we build nuclear-powered lasers and missile technology through satellites to shoot down any nuclear-based weapon in the atmosphere or space while it is flying to shoot its target, and we pinpoint its trajectory and shoot it down. So basically, Ronald Reagan spent a lot of money to build a Death Star.
Right now it's north of Auckland, New Zealand, and moving southeast. It will be, in 10 minutes, about 1,500 miles north of Little America, and in about 24 minutes it will be over Santiago, Chile, and in about 50 minutes from now it will be over Spain.
Hi, I'm Agatha, and we have Johnny Appleseed, our special field reporter, coming in to talk about the special Sputnik. Sputnik that was launched by the Russians. The Sputnik on October 4th, 1957.
That's my mom's birthday.
The Russians called the Sputnik a traveling companion of the Earth, and the Sputnik was many different audiences perceived the Sputnik differently. The Chinese viewed this as a success for the Communist Party. The New York Times said that this was a propaganda triumph. And it left Americans very fearful, because they would see the Sputnik coming over their house 3 to 5 times a day, and they would be afraid that it would be mapping our country.
Yay, maps.
Good.
Oh, you betcha. I can see Sputnik from my house.
So now we have Mr. Appleseed. He is trying to find the famed Sputnik in a startled and daunted walk around the park.
Oh, Sputnik! I found it! I found it! Yay!
Now, Hot Donna's got some business to do with the Russians.
You look like...
Star Wars, Star Wars, Star Wars!
Dead commies, dead commies, dead commies! All right.